They said she slept for 100 years. A curse of envy, a kiss of love, a fairy tale ending wrapped in roses and time. But no one asks, what happens to a mind that dreams for a century? The kingdom forgot her name, but the forest did not. It whispered her story through the thorns, feeding on the silence beneath her breath. They called it sleep. It was not sleep. It was hunger. This is confidential file number 03. Sleeping Beauty, the girl who never woke. Because some dreams aren't meant to end. They just learn to breathe. She was born beneath bells and silk, a child promised to light. Every witch, every spirit came to offer her blessings. One wished her beauty. Another, grace. A third, a voice soft enough to quiet storms. Each word fell upon her like gold dust. And like all gold, it began to poison. But one woman came uninvited, not with hatred, but with pity. She looked at the sleeping infant and saw the truth the others refused to see. All gifts, she said, are debts waiting to be collected. Her blessing was a curse of mercy. Sleep when the world became unbearable. It was meant to save her. But every salvation has its appetite. The court called it wickedness. The king demanded her banishment. And as the torches drove her into the dark, the witch whispered back to the cradle, "May your dreams remember me." Years passed, and the girl grew flawless. Too flawless to be real. Her beauty was so complete, it began to devour the room around her. Servants forgot what they were doing when she entered. Ministers stuttered through their prayers. Even the king no longer spoke her name. He only looked at her as if staring might keep her alive. The spindles were destroyed, the curse buried under years of denial. But curses are patient things. They do not vanish. They wait, like rust beneath paint, like hunger beneath grace. One day she followed a thread of song up the old staircase to a locked room. Inside, dust floated like falling stars. An old woman sat spinning shadows into silk. The girl reached out, just curious, just human. And the needle kissed her finger. It was a small wound. A bead of blood, dark as prophecy. Then silence. Her eyes closed. The thread snapped. And the kingdom exhaled, not knowing it would never breathe again. When the curse took her, it didn't stop at her skin. It spread through the halls, through the walls, through every soul that ever spoke her name. The castle froze in place. Flames stood still in their own light. Birds hung mid-flight, wings open like broken glass. And outside, the forest began to move. Thorns crawled from the soil, climbing the towers, wrapping the gates like veins around a heart that refused to die. Years passed, then decades, then centuries. The forest learned her breathing. The roots pulsed with it, slow, steady, endless. Travelers who wandered too close swore they heard her voice, a whisper through the trees, asking not for rescue, but for silence. Inside the castle, her body rested beneath a film of dust and light, not rotting, not aging, just waiting for something she no longer remembered. They said he came for love, but men rarely travel through death for love. They come for legend, for glory, for the story told after their bones are gone. He was the last of many. The forest had already taken the rest. Their armor rusted among the roots, their faces turned toward the sleeping gates. He pushed through the thorns until his skin split open. Blood dripped onto the vines and they parted, as if recognizing something familiar. When he saw her, the world fell silent. She looked alive, as if she had only just inhaled and forgot to let go. He touched her hand. It was warm, too warm. And when he kissed her, it wasn't breath that left her lips. It was smoke. The curse did not break. It merely changed its shape. The forest trembled. The thorns shivered. And somewhere deep inside that endless dream, she opened her eyes. But not in the world he knew. When she rose, the air forgot how to move. The prince fell to his knees, eyes wide with the kind of awe that only fear can birth. She looked around the hall, the frozen servants, the still fire, the mirrors clouded with a century of breath. Everything was awake, yet nothing lived. The curse had evolved. It no longer trapped the body. It devoured time. The people stirred from their slumber, but their eyes were hollow, their voices echoing like ghosts, repeating words they no longer understood. They smiled when they saw her, not because they were glad, but because something inside them demanded it. The prince tried to speak, but she only touched his face, and in that touch, he saw the truth. She had not awakened. They had joined her dream. Every clock ticked backward. Every rose bled from the stem. And the world outside the castle began to forget that it ever existed. In her reflection, the witch's face flickered once, smiling through the centuries. The blessing had been kept. Mercy, eternal, unbroken. The longer she lived, the less she remembered. Names faded first, then colors, then the meaning of light. Her kingdom was quiet now, a cathedral of sleep. Bodies moved, but no hearts beat. Eyes opened, but no one saw. She walked the corridors like a ghost wearing a crown, searching for the end of her dream and finding only doors that led back to the beginning. Sometimes she heard children laughing beyond the walls. Sometimes she saw a sky of gold through cracks in the stone. But when she reached for it, her hand passed through. Illusion, memory, punishment. She began to speak to herself, then to something else, a voice that answered softly from the corners of her mind. "You wanted peace," it said, "and I gave you eternity." She smiled then, a fragile, terrible smile, and whispered, "Then let eternity sleep with me." The last rose in the castle turned black that night, and somewhere in the folds of that endless dream, the gods themselves closed their eyes. The forest still stands. Its thorns no longer guard a castle, only a silence too deep to name. They say the princess still sleeps, but no one dreams there anymore. Dreams have teeth now, and they remember her. Cinderella, Snow White, Sleeping Beauty. 3 ghosts breathing through time, waiting for the next name to be written in the dark. Next file: Peter Pan, the boy who spoke to shadows.